Hi guys, we made it to day 5, the end of the first week, and maybe it's actually day 17 for you and you got a little behind. No big deal, you're still in it, and I'm still so excited for you because all of this is progress. All of this is going to change your life for the better. And I know we've spent a lot of time sorting, and you might feel like, ugh, I'm not getting anywhere. But I want you to understand that you really are. Because what's happening is the more you sort, the more it becomes kind of a habit for you. And the better you are at deciding which pile these papers are supposed to go into. And I hope that you're starting to see that it really is quite simple to organize your papers into separate piles. And what we're going to do next week is we're going to break apart each pile. We're going to look specifically at each pile and figure out how to organize that. And by the end of all this, I hope that you, every time you get new mail or new paperwork that comes in your house, you instantly think, what pile will I have put this in? If I was way back at the beginning of this, what pile would I put this in? And that's going to instantly tell you what you need to do with this paperwork right away, so you're not back in the same place where you have 15 baskets full of papers. And no matter what, I know that already that has improved in your life because you're thinking a little different about paperwork. So I know it's been a long week of just sorting and things, but I just want to commend you for sticking with it. And you're doing great. You are doing great. And next week we're going to move on and we're going to talk more specifically about those piles. And then after that, we're going to get to move on to other parts of our home. All right, so today the little tip that I want to give you is as you're going through this stuff, you may come across some magazines that you've gotten in the mail. And those are really fun. But if you are a busy person, you may not have time to sit down and read the magazine cover to cover, and you have every good intention of doing that, but sometimes time just doesn't allow it. So what I want you to start doing is if you get a magazine in one of, as you're going through your 2 baskets, I want you to go ahead and rip out the articles or the recipes or whatever it is, that type of magazine it is. I want you to rip out the things you actually plan to use. And I want you to staple them together. And I want you to put them in a little separate pile because we're going to deal with those next week. And those are going to be kind of the to read pile. Now, I don't tell everybody to make that pile because not everybody is in this position, but a lot of people are. And so I like to add this at the very end, just if you come across those magazines or those articles, don't keep the whole magazine. There is absolutely no reason to keep the entire magazine, but pull out the things you plan to read and then set a goal for when you would like to have those read by. So some people create a folder, a to read folder, and they stick the papers in there and they give themselves a month to read it. So they put the date that it needs to be read by on the cover and they go through that folder, and if it's not read by that date, they just toss it because obviously it wasn't that important to them to begin with. So try to kind of narrow down some of those magazines because we know that those can take up a lot of space in our home. We know that it's a lot of extra paper clutter, and all the better to just recycle them. There's also different places that will take your old magazines. So a lot of teachers, whether Sunday school teachers or classroom teachers, love to use appropriate magazines, ones that have, pictures of animals and people doing fun things, stuff like that, things that could be actually useful to kids. They like to use those in their lessons or to create projects or whatever. So if you have one that doesn't, and by appropriate, I just mean not inappropriate advertising, that may cause a teacher to have a discussion with somebody that they don't want to get into. So just kind of flip through your magazine a little bit. But if you're willing to donate those to somebody, you can always ask. But I only want you to hang on to them, to donate them to someone if you actually have someone in mind. Hanging on to them because you plan to donate them someday is not the right thing to do right now. The goal is to get these things out of your house and get them moving because we're trying to get rid of clutter. So if you know somebody off the top of your head, contact them today and pass along your magazines and let them use them for educational purposes. If not, go ahead and recycle them. Pull out the articles you want to have, put those in your to read pile, and we'll just get moving along next week on the rest of the piles. Okay, so good luck. I hope you have a great weekend. If you got behind this week, no problem. Catch up over the weekend. Or maybe use the weekend to read some of those articles on the magazines that you haven't read yet.